Well, it's early December, and we're just taking a look at the asparagus. It's starting to turn yellow, which is good. That means it's starting to go dormant as the weather cools off here in North Texas. And it'll turn completely yellow, and then it'll turn to brown, and then we'll cut it down to ground level. Let's take a look at some of these spears. So these were planted 1-year-old crowns. This is their 3rd year. So when they come up in the springtime, they'll be 3-year-old crowns, and we'll be able to harvest them for about 6 to 8 weeks, or until the spears start to get real skinny like this. So when you see skinny spears in the store that are this thin, that means they're towards the end of their life for that season. They get real thin. So when these turn brown and we cut them, we'll cut them flush. I'm going to mulch all this after they're cut flush with a whole bunch of horse manure and chicken manure and let it sit over the winter. And then in the springtime, they'll come up as new spears and we'll harvest them. Of course, I'll try to get a video out on that too. So these are the 3-year-old crowns. And then early this spring, if you remember, we did a video where we planted this bed with 1-year-old crowns. So when these come up in the springtime, they'll be 2-year-old. And we'll be able to harvest them if we want for a couple weeks, but we won't. You got to come in here and weed these. We won't harvest them. We're going to let them grow and get real big. Let the roots in the ground get real big for 1 more year. And then on their 3rd year, we'll harvest them. But that's 1 crown right there. See all these spears that have come up on a 1-year-old crown that we planted? All these came up during the summer. That's our drip line. So you have to come in here a couple times a year and pull the weeds out. No big deal. You want to try to keep your asparagus weeded. I read a couple articles that some people interplant strawberries with asparagus, that the asparagus doesn't have an issue growing up through strawberries. But I've tried growing strawberries here in North Texas and didn't have the best luck. So this bed is 60 feet long by 4 foot wide. So 4 foot 60. Here's another one that's 60 by 4. So next year we'll have 3-year-old. This one will be 2-year-old. But in 2 more years, we're going to have a hell of a lot of asparagus growing. This stuff here at the back end of this one, I planted purple asparagus. They are really huge, thick spears. There's not much left in here of... Sorry, I can't get in here very well, but you can kind of see the purple on that one. They come up really thick. But the rest of it, I did Jersey Night, which is just an all-around good asparagus. See, each one of these, since we let them grow for 2 years, they got lots and lots of spears. I mean, that one right there has probably 20, 25 spears all in there. So we're going to have hundreds and hundreds of bits of asparagus coming up. And you can see they're starting to turn yellow. That's good as it cools down. And then we got a couple boxes here with some Brussels sprouts starting. They probably won't make it in the freeze though, they'll be too young. Here's some collard greens and some kale. I just started them late to see if they'd make it, because you never know in Texas how the weather's going to be. Some cilantro. Oh my gosh. Guineas are going at it. Anyway, cilantro. And some, you know what that is. Spinach. Yeah, spinach. There's some radishes. And then arugula. We love arugula. So I planted some fall arugula. And then back there, that's Italian parsley. I don't think it's going to get big enough before the freezes come. I'll try to keep it covered. You know, every time it gets cold, I'll put this frost cloth over it. All right. We lost one of our guineas, so that's a white one right there. I think they're called Pearl. It showed up at a neighbor's house and they didn't want it, so we grabbed it, and it's blended with our flock quite nicely. Our flock of 4 now. Best birds in the world. All right. Anyway, asparagus and a couple herb beds. You know, I've said it before and I'll say it again. If you have an opportunity just to get a hold of some asparagus crowns, get them planted. They're real easy to grow. You know, you just have to be patient because you really can't harvest them till 2 or 3 years later. But get a hold of some asparagus. Find a little bed. Why not? It's easy, I'm telling you. All right.